And this is Supermonaman channel. This is my reaction to. Outside is my reaction to. That's what I wanted. That certainly makes sense. Let's see what I'm talking about. This. It works, mine works. Here's mine, Arcane. Here's mine. Arcane video. I say this is fine. Thinking it's three, two. Oh, sorry, I'll try to butcher it. Be dangerous. You can't see the whole thing. Sorry about that. Really cool. Two shots of the behind here. It's awesome. Three, two, one, play. Do, 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 do,
Well, wasn't that a pleasant way to start a video that's meant to be me rambling in a hopefully enjoyable way about the relationship that develops between these two over the course of Season 1? I suppose without the context of everything that comes before this scene, you may be inclined to agree with Vi. Oil and water aren't exactly natural fits. Have you ever tried to clean a pan with lots of oil using just water? It's a fucking nightmare. Welcomes are probably in order before we properly get into the video. Firstly, to quite a fair few new subscribers who have found the channel through my other Arcane video essay, Mastery in Visual Storytelling. There's a link to that in the description if you haven't seen it already. You'll see in the comment section of that video that I was left with sheets and sheets of viewers asking for this video since I committed the cardinal sin of offering a Caitlyn Vi video in the future. I might as well have put a gun to my own head. If this is your first video from this channel, a warm welcome to you too. If you enjoy what comes next, then please leave a like and a comment to those algorithm gods, and a cheeky little tap of the subscribe button wouldn't go amiss either. Okay, now that we've covered all of the formalities,
hopefully, yeah, seriously, hopefully you think that. Maybe it's nothing like a season 2 now, so.
If you're not familiar with me, which is absolutely a-okay, I'm a bit of an analytical media nerd, and in the past I did my senior university dissertation on LGBT or queer representation in Western animation. So it's not a topic I'm, for lack of a better phrase, pulling out of my arse. I've been over this area of media analysis a fair bit, but I'm not here to talk about the historical and modern discourse of this subject. Rather, I'm going to dive more into what the show actually gives us in regards to their relationship, which is refreshingly present in the foreground of both Vi and Caitlyn's stories in Acts 2 and 3. However, in order to understand some of the nuances in their dynamic with each other, it's really helpful to have some context as to who they are as people before they come face to face. Let's start with Caitlyn Kieran, voiced wonderfully by fellow Scottish lass Katie Leong, who you're somewhat familiar with also Chang in Harry Potter. In Act 1, Caitlyn is very much a side character, but what we learn from her small amounts of screen time in this section are no less important than the importance of her character. Caitlyn is the daughter of a councillor, one of the political leaders of Piltover, and with that comes great expectations and a reputation to uphold. That combination results in a fairly obvious isolation from others even into her adolescence. It's why I think she latches onto an older brother-like relationship with Jace. Look at these dang goofballs. Jace, boy, do you really want your shoulder dislocated before your big speech? Caitlyn can't trust that others would want a relationship with her, be it platonic or romantic, without the possibility they are using her to gain access to her family's political status and power. This theme of trust is something that plays an important role in both Vi and Caitlyn's story, but more on that later. As a Kieran, she certainly has the option to take an easy career path, a desk job that would pay her well and give her a life of luxury. However, Caitlyn isn't the kind of person that wants to be handed gifts and opportunities. She wants to earn them, and isn't really concerned with material things, which is why she brutally dunks these "I'm sorry you got blown up" flowers from Jace. Far more focused on the case in front of her than swallowing platitudes. Caitlyn's motivation to do good is clear throughout the series. It's why she becomes an enforcer. She believes that's a path that will allow her to do the most good, having been largely shielded from the systematic brutality the enforcers have inflicted on residents of the Undercity. Which leads us quite nicely to a certain redhead. It's almost like I wrote the script to do that. Unlike Caitlyn, Vi's entire life has been at the brunt end of all of the inequalities between Piltover and Dawn, leading to an understandable distrust and hatred of topsiders and everything they represent. Enforcers, in particular, are the epitome of this cruel parasocial relationship in Vi's eyes, quite literally enforcing and upholding the corrupt status quo between the two cities, resulting in the death of her parents in her earlier life. Basically, a friendship/potential relationship with an enforcer probably was something that had never ever crossed her mind. This hatred is only further compounded by the fact that Vi is thrown into Stillwater Prison at the end of Act 1 for at least 5 years without ever being charged with any crimes. Essentially left to rot and fend for herself and subject to regular beatings by guards. Another interesting difference between Caitlyn and Vi is that Vi is surrounded by other vulnerable individuals like Powder, who she feels a responsibility to protect. Especially when good old surrogate dad Vander says things like this.
You say light a fire, they show up with oil. Whatever happens, it's on you.
I know that Vander was trying to get Vi to be less reckless with this chat, but boy, it's not surprising that Vi carries around a lot of guilt about having brought wreck and ruin into the lives of everyone she is close to. With so much death around her, she probably sees herself as a bit of a magnet for misery and misfortune by the time that Act 2 rolls around, so it's no surprise she would want to distance herself from others initially. So basically, as you can probably tell, these two are polar opposites in nearly every way, almost perfect foils for each other. Opposites attract certainly comes to mind, but even then, there were a lot of hurdles these two had to jump, and still do. Yet, something here, many things here, work well, so let's talk about them, shall we?
Cupcake. Are you so sweet? Like a cupcake.
If any of you happen to guess the reference I'm making in the title of this section,
Right,
turn down my new best friend. Essentially, as this relationship dynamic kicks off, we have a clash of Vi's be gay do crimes mentality versus Caitlyn's gay solve crimes brain rot. Vi doesn't expect much of Caitlyn to begin with, except the usual cold treatment of other enforcers. So it must have come as quite a surprise that Caitlyn appeared to bend the rules to allow her release. Caitlyn is very wary of releasing Vi, but she knows she has a better chance in the Undercity with her. Caitlyn is also clearly appalled at the treatment that Vi has received in Stillwater, and this is also the beginning of her beliefs in the laws and systems of Piltover wavering. As the two of them spend more time together in some highly stressful situations, they are in turn able to gain new perspectives on each other's contrasting worlds. After Vi tries to give Caitlyn the shake to go and duke it out with her old pal Savika, Caitlyn saves her life and escorts her to safety. I can imagine with all of that muscle that Vi is quite heavy, so it's helpful that Kate is also a bit of a hench beast herself. Caitlyn continues to show Vi kindness and concern, securing life-saving medicine at the cost of her gun, her only real form of protection for a relative stranger. She gently helps Vi come down from the initial shock of the shimmer-lace medicine, something that once again must have really taken Vi by surprise. The more time that Vi spends with Caitlyn, the more humanity she begins to realise is present in Piltover. People that want to do good but are naive to the true suffering of the Undercity. I also want to point out because of angst, that Vi was probably extremely touch-starved in prison with the exception of physical beatings, so these gentle, caring touches from Caitlyn must have come as a bit of a revelation. I also love that Caitlyn gives this shimmer-addicted man a tight hug after he seems genuine in his assistance. I know this isn't something that Vi sees, but it only further emphasises the kindness and care that Caitlyn possesses. What is it with this girl and giving out the good physical affection to touch-starved people, huh? Although I don't think Caitlyn ever didn't care about the people of the Undercity. I imagine that given her affluent lifestyle and isolation, she probably didn't associate with its citizens very often. That's why her relationship with Vi is so important to her perspectives, putting a human face to the suffering of the people of the Undercity and a direct challenge to her belief system. It probably also helps that this human face in particular is a very attractive, roguish lady, but we'll get back to that later. Both Vi and Caitlyn are left irrevocably changed by their time together, with Caitlyn so moved by her time in the Undercity that she is willing to put her neck on the line with the Council of Piltover to challenge them to do something meaningful about it. I also low-key love that she insists Vi is present at this meeting, since the Undercity has been politically voiceless at this table of power for so long. For Vi, although of course she is given the understanding that perhaps Piltover isn't as uncaring monarch as I actually don't think that's the most important impact that Caitlyn has on her character. It's something a little deeper than that, and perhaps something Vi thought that she had lost. Her heart. And no, I don't mean that Caitlyn caused Vi's heart to go doki doki, although it probably did at points. I mean more in the sense that Vi had probably convinced herself that her time in Stillwater had hardened her to the point that she couldn't ever be the girl with the good heart again. Despite the fact that Caitlyn is a complete stranger to her at first, and Vi is deliberately abrasive to keep some kind of distance between them, Caitlyn is still able to recognise that Vi, under her bravado, has a good heart. I can only imagine how this must have made Vi feel, even in her somewhat delirious state, that despite every horrible experience that she's been through that should have made her cold and uncaring, this stranger, an enforcer of all people, can still sense her desire to do good underneath all of that trauma. Good lord, I think the emotions these two are causing me might actually end me.
Oh boy. Oh my.
So, this is a bit of a joke title, but
I'm
not going completely off the rails with this section. It's actually a very important cornerstone of the relationship these two develop in the series. Vi and Caitlyn are pretty physical with each other across their interactions, in both forceful and ridiculously soft touches. The physical interactions between these two was such a breath of fresh air. Very little of this was subtle, with a clear message for the audience to read from their scenes. Take the now infamous cupcake scene, for example. A lot of information is conveyed through the physical body language of the pair. Vi is assertive and dominating, with a clear attraction to those of the female persuasion. Don't think I didn't notice you clocking that dump truck in about as subtle a manner that Caitlyn glances to Vi's lips in the next episode. Caitlyn is also shown to choose the of a lady in the Undercity brothel, which is, pretty gay, bestie. I still love this shift in Vi's expression from to pleasant surprise when she spots him looking like a pro. One of the writers for Arcane also recently wrote this interesting post in regards to this specific scene, and I quote, "I always wanted your hot cupcake to be in the episode. That line was in my very first draft. I received the same note several times that the same sentiment could be said in body language or subtext, or that Vi wouldn't be so direct with emotions. But it was something that I didn't want to leave open to interpretation. Women who are attracted to women have experienced all too frequently what it's like to have her feelings buried in subtext for all eternity. It is rare to see a female dynamic like this that allows physical attraction to clearly be on display without over-sexualizing the characters. I think with some pieces of media, they shy away from any real displays of physical attraction between women for fear of feeding into a male gaze or fetishizing sapphic women. Arcane toes that line really well with Caitlyn and Vi, and I think their character designs feed into that, both looking like realistic portrayals of women while still being very attractive. Another example of physical connection that I love is the bridge sequence in Act 3. If you want to hear me talk about this iconic scene more generally, check out my other
Echo.
Here, Vi and Caitlyn part ways for what very much feels like the last time. We get this extremely tight hug that Caitlyn initiates, and you can really feel all of her raw emotion as she clings on to Vi. The fact that the Arcane team is able to display so much emotion with their facial expression animation really adds to the weight of this scene. Vi is much the same as Caitlyn, holding her tightly and burrowing her face into Caitlyn's neck. It's clear they've come to mean a lot to each other in their short but eventful time together. Neither of them want to separate, but have their own responsibilities. We even get Vi holding Caitlyn's face and her gaze as they part like very good friends.
They seem to be very good friends.
Wow.
This doesn't end up being goodbye, with Caitlyn injured in yet another explosion. Vi rushes in to help, and we get this extremely soft look of concern along with a gentle face pet. God, please stop being so soft. Anyways, Jinx comes to finish what she started, and we get a very, very carefully hidden moment between the two. I honestly never thought what I'm about to show you, but I should never forget that the gays have a bloodhound-like ability to seek out content, having been starved with subtext for so many moons, and so found this angsty little moment. The innate eroticism of being gunned down together by a blue-haired girl with abandonment issues. Now let's watch it again in super slow-mo. So we have Caitlyn with her famously thick, bulletproof arms, actively trying to shield Vi from the onslaught of Jinx's gun, and Vi being like, hell no, not another person dying for me, and shoving her out of the path of the gun. I've got 2 more scenes I want to cover, both taking place in episode 8. Firstly, for a change of pace from these two getting knocked out, blown up, or gunned down, let's chat about the bedroom scene firstly. And I'm exposing you to this edit from my other Arcane video because it's what you deserve.
What you got there?
Smoothie.
I don't think we have a much more intimate scene than this in the series, apart from, obviously, the Hex-Tech sex scene, and it makes sense. This is the first moment in peace that Caitlyn and Vi actually have together. It's the first time that Vi really lets down his form of bravado, now truly having to come to terms with what her sister has become in her absence. There isn't really a lot of ambiguity with being gunned down by a machine gun. She exposes a lot of vulnerability here, talking about her past with Powder and how she used to be the one that would protect her sister from the monsters. But the monsters effectively got their claws into her. It just shows you how much she's come to trust Caitlyn in their time together, allowing herself to be this vulnerable. Caitlyn gives her an extremely tender stroke on the cheek, and Vi holds onto her hand for dear life. They just work so well, and it hurts my weak heart, who loves the angst and secretly wants the fluff. And now to the final scene I want to talk about for Caitlyn and Vi. But first, if you hit that little subscribe button, I'll give you another edit right now. I mean, I'll give you it anyway because how editing works. Cinematic genius.
Oh my god.
About this scene in particular, other than the sheer fucking drama of it all, is how lacking in physical touches it is. Which is extremely telling as this all plays out like a messy breakup scene. Vi is at a loss, feeling herself running into the same bureaucracy and spinelessness that has characterised how Piltover has run the Undercity in her lifetime. Vi decides to part ways with Caitlyn here, justifying it by saying that the differences between them are too great to overcome. In reality, I think that Vi can't bear for Caitlyn to get hurt again on her behalf. Essentially, Vi is on a collision course with Silco and his empire in the hopes of liberating her sister, and that sounds like a surefire way to get Caitlyn killed. What probably hurts them most here is the distance that Vi maintains as Caitlyn tries to pursue her. She isn't even able to look Caitlyn in the eye in case her resolve crumbles. And for Caitlyn, she's got herself quite the hero complex, still believing that she can solve everything. She also completely misunderstood the assignment of forgetting about Vi, replaying this scene in the shower in her brain box and biting her lip. She's got it so bad. I think we all do that. So yeah, that's about all I've got in me for this video, unless I just covered every second of screen time for these two, and I know you guys are thirsty, but please have mercy. I hope you enjoyed this little deep dive, and please let me know what sort of Arcane video that you would like next. It could be something like this, or something a little bit more casual. Who knows? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and thank you for watching.
You don't find Gospel attractive. You don't find strong Gospel attractive. You're insane. Dude, you're actually psychotic. Fat. Or mom. You're fat. Dude, that's just my fashion. This is a goose. I'll say that's just a goose. Just fucking out. Mouse up to the circle. And that was a great mouse up to the circle. That was a great video. I can't hopefully reward the future, so I'll get end it here. At the end of the video, I would just like to thank my current subscribers on YouTube and my Patreon. And my patrons on Patreon. If you enjoyed the video, please like or comment on the video if you would like to. And if you enjoy the channel, please support me and subscribe. You can find the links to my Patreon and Twitter, as well as links to reactions and videos in the description down below. If you want to support me on Patreon, please do. There are many rewards you can get, and I appreciate it. And like my favorite anime reviewer would say, sayonara, bye bye.